Hey, what's up everyone and welcome to Daily Code Buffer. In this video, we are going to see what is CQRS and how to implement CQRS using Spring Boot and Axon Server. So let's directly jump into it. Now in this particular video, what we are going to do is, we will be first going through the theoretical part and then we'll be implementing the practical example of CQRS. So let's first understand what is CQRS. CQRS means command and query responsibility segregation. So that means we'll be segregating the responsibilities of a command and a query in a different way. So to understand what a command is and what a query is, let's first understand our traditional flow, our traditional architecture, how we are building the application and how we can improve upon to implement the CQRS. Now one thing to understand is this CQRS we are going to implement using the event-driven microservices. So whatever we will be building here today, that will be a event-driven microservices and we'll be using the event sourcing to interact with each other. So first let's understand the standard structure over here. So in the standard structure you might have seen multiple times, like we will be creating the APIs. Those APIs might be having the different HTTP method types, that is get, post, put, delete, patch and the others options and all, but these are the mainly used. So you'll be creating the API and your API will be controlled by your controller layer. So that controller layer will be responsible for traversing the request to the each of the different services that you have in your application. So from the controller, your request will be going to the service layer. That service layer will be responsible for your business logic. So whatever the business logic that you have for your application that you are building, all those particular logic will be written in the service layer. And from the service layer, you will be calling the DAO layer or the repository layer to save your data or to persist your data into your database. So this is a very standard structure for creating the Spring MVC applications or a standard microservice services as well. But here let's understand the CQRS architecture, how it is different from the normal architecture and what are the different things that we are going to see over here. Now the first thing you can see over here is we will be creating the APIs over here as we are creating the APIs in the standard structure over here. But the only difference is how and what are the different HTTP methods that we are going to use. So all the method that is to fetch the data, so that is the get method, we'll be implementing the get method to fetch the data. That particular will be implemented by the query API. And all the other methods, that is post, put, delete and patch, those are used to add the data, update the data or modify the data, that will be implemented by the command API. So this is the two differences. Whenever you are providing any command to your application to do any of the operations, that will be handled by your command APIs. And whenever you want to fetch any data that is already been added in your system, to fetch that you will be using the query APIs. Now the differentiation of this command API and query API is the core concepts behind the CQRS, that is to segregate the responsibilities of the commands and your queries that you have in your system. Now ideally when you develop the system, both of these particular commands and query will be in the different services, so you can configure your system according to the need of the application. So you're creating the query API, you can tune the application to get the data, and when you're using the command API, you can tune the application to store or update the data in the database. So for each and every command API and the query API, the main thing that you are going to do is for the command API, you will be providing the command to execute any of the command, and for the query API, you will be providing the queries to fetch any of the data available. So these are the two things that you will be providing in the system to do any operations over here. Now for the command, to handle all this particular command, there will be a command handler that will be handling the command, and for the query there will be query handler that will be handling the queries. Now this particular command handler is also known as the aggregate. When we will be developing the application, we will be creating the aggregate. That particular aggregate will be handling all the commands, and for the queries we will be creating the projections. That particular projections will be handling your query handlers. You can create the command handler classes as well and the query handler classes as well, but you can also create the aggregate and the projection as well. So I have seen multiple places where people have been using aggregate and projection and command handler and query handler as well. And for each and every command or each and every query that you handle, you will be creating the events. So with that particular events, your system can handle all the particular operations, because we are going with the event-driven architecture over here. And all these particular events will be stored in the event store. Now for the command API, we will be storing the data in the right database. So that means whatever the operation that we do, that particular database is configured for writing the data to the particular database. And for the query API, we'll be using the read database, which is configured for reading the data from that particular database. So this is a very basic level architecture that I'm showing you over here, but in the end, there is a lot more components that goes inside this particular architecture. So whenever you store any of the data in your read database using the command APIs, how that particular data comes to the read database. So those data comes using the events as well. So for those type of operations also, we will be creating the events to store the data from the write database to the read database. And there are a lot more different concepts available about snapshotting and a lot of things available. So you can go through the documentation and you can learn more about the CQRS and what are the things we can do to improve the performance and the other aspects of the application. But today here we are going to understand the core concepts about the CQRS architecture and how to implement the CQRS using the Spring Boot and the Axon server. Now Axon server provides the ability in the Spring Boot application to handle all our different events and commands and store all those particular data in our event store. So what we'll be doing is we will be using the Axon server as well. That particular Axon server will store all our data, and we'll be using the Axon framework to interact with that particular Axon server. Now let's understand the data flow for our command API. The similar thing would be available for the query API as well. So let's go and understand this. So this is a CQRS command API flow where we have taken the example to save one of the products. So we have a product service available and we are going to save that particular product using the post request. So here you can see that we have an API that is /products and we are doing the post request over here. And we'll be having one controller. This particular controller will be handling all our API request, and based on the particular APIs that we are going to call and based on the different HTTP methods, we will be sending the command to our command gateway. So what is the command over here? Here you can see that I've created the command that is create product command. So I'm going to create a new product using the post method over here. So I have added the command create product command. You can create multiple commands like update product command, delete product command, okay, based on the requirements. And that particular command I'm sending to the command gateway. And I have created the aggregate as well. Aggregate is nothing but the command handler over here, which will handle whatever the command that we are passing. So this particular aggregate will handle this particular create product command, and whatever the operation that we have to do like validations and all those things, we can do all those particular validations. So we can create the event like product created event. So if whatever the data that I'm passing over here, if I think everything is okay, then I can create the event, okay, product created event, and that particular event will be stored in the event store. We will be creating one event handler. That particular event handler will listen all the events that are been created and stored in this particular event store. It will try to listen all those particular events and it will complete those events. So in this particular event handler, what this particular event handler is doing this, it is trying to listen this particular product created event over here. So whenever there is a new event, product created event created and stored in the event store, it will consume that, or it will listen that particular event, and this particular event handler will store that particular data into our database using our repository. So this will be our write database. So here you can see that this is the entire flow, event driven architecture flow for our command for the CQRS, for the command part. This is the flow that we are going to use to create the different commands and create the different events according to that particular command and handle those particular events. For the query API, this will be very similar. There will be a controller that will handle that particular APIs. Instead of command gateway, there will be a query gateway that will handle those queries. Instead of aggregate, there will be projections that will handle those particular projections, and the same we will be having the event handler to handle the different events, or we can directly send the data from the projection as well. So based on the different architecture, we can code this particular application. So this is a very standard thing that we are going to create over here. So we'll be creating this particular product service to create a product and gather the data from that particular product. So this is the same flow that we are going to create. One controller that we are going to create, an aggregate, an event handler, and a repository for saving the product. So let's go and code our application. Now before that, whatever this particular event store is available over here, right? So let's understand that particular event store as well. I will go to the Axon server website, and from there only I will try to explain you. This is the particular event sourcing available. So we'll be using this particular event sourcing technique, and this particular Axon server uses this particular technique to store all of the particular events. So whenever we create that particular event from our command gateways, those all the particular events will be stored in the event data store over here. So suppose if you see over here, they have taken the example of the ordering the pizza over here. So these are the different steps available. You have selected one pizza, again that is the one transaction, and on top of that you have selected the cola as well, and you can see that you have selected the ice cream as well, and you can see you have deselected the ice cream as well. So there are a lot of events happening. First you are selecting the pizza, then you are selecting the cola, then you are selecting ice cream, then you are removing the ice cream, okay, and then you are confirming the order. All these particular different events are stored in the event data store, and all these particular events at the end will result in a single data that is being read by the RAID database. So all these particular events will be executed and it will result in a single order over here. So that particular order will be stored in the database over here. Now, why this particular event sourcing is so helpful is whenever you have any issues or you want to recreate the same order, you can play the entire this particular event source from start to end to create the same data that you want. So you can always go ahead and do select a pizza, select a cola, select ice cream, deselect ice cream, and order it. So that way you will be able to recreate the same order multiple times for our debugging purposes, or you want to create a new database. A lot of things that we can do using the event sourcing over here. So you need to understand about this particular event sourcing as well, that we are going to use this in our application, and I will add this particular link in the description below so you can check this out. There is a lot of things available. You can see that this is particular event sourcing, and yeah, you can see that you can create the snapshot as well. You can do the event replaying as well from the code as well, okay, and a lot of things are available. You can go ahead and check this out as well. Now what we are going to do, we are going to first download the Axon server for our application that we are going to create for the product service, and we are going to use this Axon framework along with our Spring Boot. So if you go to this particular Axon IQ/downloads over here, okay, you go to the axoniq.io over here, and if you go to the downloads over here, either you can use the Docker to run your Axon server, or you can download the zip file as well. So I'm having issues running this particular Axon server from the Docker in my M1 Mac, so I'll be using the Axon server download zip file over here. Okay, so I'll be downloading the zip over here. Once you download this particular zip over here, you can unzip that and you can start this particular server. I will show you how to start the server as well, but if you are running Docker, you can directly run this particular command and your server will start automatically. Now let's go to the Spring Initializer and create our project. So what I'll do, I'll just go to the start.spring.io, and here I will create the project. What I'll do, I'll just say com.daily code buffer, and I'll say this is product service. Packaging is jar, Java version is 11, and Spring Boot version is 2.5.4. And let me add the dependencies. I will add the Spring Web dependency, and I will add the Lombok dependency for our boilerplate code, and I will add the JPA dependency over here. Here I am using the H2 database over here, but this particular thing will work in any of the database. Okay, that's it. Let me generate the project and open in IntelliJ IDEA. Now here you can see that I have opened the project over here, and it is resolving the dependencies over here. So I'll wait for a couple of seconds to sync all the dependencies over here. Okay, this is our product service over here, and here what I'll do, let me go to the browser, and if I go to the download Axon over here, you can download this particular zip file over here, and once it is downloaded, you can unzip it over here and open the terminal over here. You go to cd downloads, Axon server over here. Okay, and you can see that this is your jar file over here. So to run this, what we'll do java-jar Axon server .jar over here. Okay, and we will run this. And here you can see that our Axon server is started over here. So it is running on port 8024. So let me go ahead and open that. I'll go and open localhost 8024 over here, and here you can see that this is our Axon dashboard over here. So here you can see that how many events are there. You can see the overview. This is my Axon dashboard server. No other application has been connected over here till now. You can search all the different events and snapshots available. Let me just enable the live updates for now. And here you can see that different commands, whatever the commands that you create, those particular commands will be populated over here. Different queries will be populated over here. So this is your Axon dashboard server. So we'll keep this aside and let's go to the project over here and let's go to the pom.xml file. In here we need to add our Axon framework. So if you go to the Axon for Spring Boot Maven repo, so this is the one that you need to use, Spring Boot starter module for Axon framework, and the latest version is 4.5.3. so I'll just copy this particular information and let me just add in the dependency at the last. And this particular Axon framework also needs the Google's Guava dependency as well, so I will add that as well. I'll search for the Google Guava and I will use the 30.1.1-JRE version. So I'll just copy this as well and I will paste this also. I'll refresh the Maven over here. So let it resolve the dependencies and then we can go ahead and start our application. Now let's go to the SRC main folder over here in the resources. Let's add our properties over here. What I'll add, server.port equals to 8081. Now this particular event driven microservice will work with all the Spring Cloud modules over here. For that I have already created a video that you can see over here, that is microservices using Spring Boot. There we have covered all the Spring Cloud dependencies and Spring Cloud project as well, and all this particular thing will be applicable here as well. But we are focusing on the CQRS, so we'll be just doing the simple application using just the CQRS and we won't be implementing any service registries or API gateways over here. Okay, now you can see that the dependency has been resolved over here, and now let me add the properties for the H2 database. So here you can see that these are all the different properties that will help to use our H2 database. So what I'm doing over here is I'm using spring.datasource.url equals to jdbc h2 file /data/product db over here. So this particular H2 database will store all the data not in memory but in the file at this particular location over here. Okay, and I'm using the H2 driver over here, so I have defined in the driver class name. This is the username and password over here for my database, and the platform I'm using is Hibernate Dialect H2 Dialect over here. And this particular spring.h2.console.enable equals to true I have mentioned over here, that will allow us to open the H2 console, and Hibernate DDL auto equals to update. And if you want to know more about this, all the different properties and how the JPA works, I have created a dedicated video about Spring Data JPA. You can check that out as well. Now what we'll be doing is we will be creating the different, so this is my main application file over here, and now we have to create the different packages and we have to create the different application files. So let me go ahead and create the different packages. So what I'll do, I'll create the package command.api for our commands. I'll do query.api for our query API, and inside this particular command.api we can create the different packages based on the different need, like controller, aggregates and all those things. Okay, so here what we are going to create is controller, aggregate and the repository layers and everything. Okay, so we'll be creating this commands events as well. So let's go ahead and create that. So let me just create the another package, that is command.api.controller over here. Let me create one more package over here, and instead of controller I will say model, and inside this particular controller package let's create our controller. So I'll just say product command controller over here, and I will annotate this particular class with REST controller over here. So this is a REST controller where we can interact with the JSON data, and I will also do request mapping over here, and I'll say products. Now let's create a method that we'll be using to save the product over here. So what I'll do, I'll just say public string add product over here, and this will be post mapping over here, and this will return product added. Simple thing over here, but we need to add the product, so we need to get the data from the JSON as well. So we need to have a REST model as well that we will be collecting the data from. So let's create the REST model for that. So in the model, we will create one class over here. We'll say product REST model over here, and here we'll be having the different properties. So I'll just say private string, name of the product, private big decimal, price, and private integer quantity over here. These are the three fields that I'm adding over here, and I will annotate with @data over here and @builder over here using the Lombok over here. So we can set all the values and we can get all the values. Okay, and let me use this particular product REST model in my command controller over here. So I'll just inject it over here, product REST model, and this particular product REST model should be request body. Okay, so this is a pretty standard implementation of our REST API. Okay, now what we want to do is, from this particular controller, we need to send this particular data to the command gateway over here. So let's create the object of it. What I'll do, I will create object of command gateway, that is the part of the Axon framework over here. I'm creating the object over here, and I will inject using the constructor injection over here. Okay, add constructor parameter over here. So this is a particular command gateway that we can use, but what we want to send the command, that is the create product command over here. So if you go to this particular slide over here, what we are doing over here is we are sending the create product command over here to the command gateway over here. So we need to create this particular create product command as well. So let's go ahead and create that. We'll go to this particular project and we will create the command. So we'll create the first package, command API dot commands package over here, and inside this particular commands package, I will create the create product command. Now all these particular commands and events will be having the state of what we are going to do. So suppose I am going to save a particular product, so this particular command and this particular events that we are going to create should store the state, should store the payload of what I am going to do. So that way only whenever we are creating the event and whoever is consuming the event will get to know whatever the data is available and what I want to do with this particular data. So always whenever we are creating the command or events, we'll be storing the data, we'll be storing the payload inside that particular object. So for this particular create product command also we will do the same. First let me annotate with data and builder over here, and if I go to this particular product REST model, I just copy this details over here and I will paste in this particular commands over here. Okay, now alongside all these details there will be always one identifier. Okay, so that will be your product ID. So let me add that product ID as well, private string product ID as well. Now for each of the particular command and the aggregate that is handling your command should have something in common. So there will be a multiple products available and your aggregate, that is your command handler, will be handling all those particular products. So for all those particular products your product ID is unique. So that particular product ID should be annotated with some annotations so that your aggregate will understand that this is my target and this is a particular ID that I have that will match that particular two IDs, and accordingly the data has been processed. So for this particular product ID I will annotate target aggregate identifier. Okay, so when we'll be creating the aggregate, that is your command handler, we will be having this particular field over here that it will interact with. Okay, so both this particular command and aggregate will compare these two particular fields to match these values. So once we implement this, you will get a more clear understanding why we are doing this. Now we created the command, so I need to add the payload data to this particular command and I need to send this particular command to my command gateway. So let me go to the controller, and here what I'll do, I'll create the object of this particular create product command. Create product command dot builder dot build over here, and I will add all the values from the product rest model. So I will just set the product ID as uuid dot random uuid dot toString over here, dot name as product rest model dot get name, dot price as product rest model dot get price, dot quantity as product rest model dot get quantity over here. And here you can see that your object is created and you have set all the fields, all the data that you got from the API request to your command over here. Now you need to send this command via command gateway. So what I'll do, I'll just say command gateway dot send and wait. So send this particular command and wait until this particular command is been completed. And I will send this command, that is create product command over here. Now this particular method will return the result over here. So let me take the result out. And let me send the result back over here. So your controller is ready. That particular controller is sending one command to your command gateway. Okay. Now we need to have the aggregate. So if you go to this particular example, you have sent this particular command to your command gateway. Now you will be having one command handler or aggregate, whatever you want to call. So this particular aggregate will handle this particular command. So let's go ahead and create this aggregate over here. So let me go to the project over here in this command API. Let me create one package over here. And I will see this package as command.api.aggregate. And I will create one Java class and I will say this is my product aggregate, and I will annotate this particular class as aggregate, and this is the part of your Axon framework, and this is a stereotype annotation. Now your product aggregate will also have the payload data. So go to your command, copy this particular fields over here, go to your product aggregate and paste all the fields. Okay, and here if you go to your create product command, you have mentioned this is a target aggregate identifier, but in your product aggregate you will define this as aggregate identifier. Okay, so this way this particular product ID and the product ID in your command will match, and all the operation will be happening, all the events will be happening for this particular entire data, and this will be identified using this particular product ID over here. If you go to this particular product aggregate, so for this product aggregate to work, you need to create the constructor. That constructor is taking this particular command over here. Okay, so let me create the constructor over here. Okay, and this particular constructor is taking or is injecting this create product command. Create product command. And this should also have a default constructor as well. So let me create a default constructor as well. So I've created a default constructor and a constructor that is taking a command as an input parameter over here. Now what you can do over here, you can perform all the validations over here. You can perform all the different validations and whatever you want to do over here, you can do using this particular command, and once that is done, you need to create the event over here. Okay, so what event that we are going to create over here is, you can see that once that particular aggregate is handling that particular create product command, this aggregate will publish the event, that is product created event. So we need to create this particular event and we need to publish that event, which will store into your event store. So let's go ahead and create this particular product created event first, and then we'll publish it. So in this command API, we'll create one package over here, and that will say events, and in this events package I will create one class and I'll say product created event. This particular product create event, this also should have the payload data. So I'll just copy these fields over here and I will add in the product created event, and I will add the class with @data, @builder, @all_args constructor and @no_args constructor. So these are all the Lombok annotations. So it will be helpful to create the objects of a product created event. Now this particular aggregate will publish this particular event. So we need to go to the aggregate, create the object of product created event, and we need to publish it. So let's go to the aggregate over here and we will create the object that is product created event over here equals to product created event dot builder dot build. So what you can do over here is you can get all the values from this particular create product command and you can pass all the values over here, or you can use the bin utils over here to populate all the fields over here. As we have all the fields common over here, we'll be using that. Okay, so you can use this builder pattern as well, or you can directly use this particular way as well. So what I'll do, I'll just creating the object over here and using bin utils dot copy properties over here. Here you can define the source, that is create product command, and what is your target is product created event over here. So all the properties from this will be copied, all the values from this particular properties in this particular object will be copied to the target. Okay, as we have the same names available, it will copy all the values. Now what I want to do is I want to publish this event. So I'll use the aggregate lifecycle over here dot apply, and what is the payload, that is the product created event. So this will publish this particular events. Now for each and every aggregate that you create, you want to use the event sourcing handler over here to update your aggregate values. So whenever you handle any of the particular command, okay, in your command handler or the aggregate, and whenever you publish the event, you need to update the aggregate state of the aggregate. What are the fields or what are the values is been changed. So whenever this particular create product command is been handled over here and the product created event is been created, all these particular fields we are updating from this particular create product command, right? So we need to update all these particular fields over here. So whenever there is a new command, that is the update product command, so at that time whatever that update is happening, we need to update that value as well. So all this, whenever we do that event sourcing update, that particular values will be stored in your event sourcing data, where what we saw earlier, right? What was the event sourcing? So that way all those particular values will be stored in your event store, and whenever we want to replay it, it will be easier for the application to replay all those particular things. So always remember that whenever there is a state change from the aggregate over here, whatever aggregate that you create, whenever there is a state change, update the values over here. So for this particular command handler, whatever we are handling over here, we are changing the state. So all these particular values were not there before, now we are setting this particular values. So we will create one handler, event sourcing handler, to set all these particular values. So I'll just create the handler. So I'll just say public void on what event it should occur is product created event. So I'll just inject that product created event, and I should annotate with event sourcing handler over here. So whenever this particular product created event will occur, this event sourcing handler will be executed to handle the event sourcing data. So what I want to update all the fields, right? So I will update all the fields. I'll just say this dot quantity equals to product created event dot get quantity. This dot product ID equals to product created event dot get product ID. This dot price equals to product created event dot get price over here. This dot name equals to product created event dot get name. So this is your event sourcing handler. So make sure that whenever you are handling the command, you should be having the event sourcing handler to handle the state of that particular command over here. So every time these two will be go hand in hand always. Okay, now for this particular product aggregate, in this particular product aggregate only, if you want to handle the different command that you have, then you don't have to create the constructor. You can create the method also that you can implement, because it only requires one particular constructor with a particular command to register this. After that, you can create a simple method that is public void handle and handle this particular command. Okay, that will also you can create. It's easy. So now your aggregate is also created. Now we have also already published the event, that is product created event, to our event store. Now we need to have the events handler that will handle the event. Okay, that will listen the event from this particular event store and it will save the data to the repository over here. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me go to the IntelliJ IDEA, and what I want is I need to have the event handler. So in the events package, I will create the event handler. I'll create Java class product events handler over here, and I'll annotate this with components so it's in the Springs radar. Now this particular products event handler will be handling the product created event that has been published from this particular aggregate over here, right? So this particular product created event is been published, so we need to handle it in the products events handler over here. So what I'll do, I'll just create the method public void on product created event. Now you can give any name to the methods over here, but in the documentation they've used this particular method, so I'm just using this. And I need to annotate with event handler from the Axon server. Okay, this one. Now we need to handle the event over here. What we need to do is whatever the data, whatever the payload that we are getting, I need to save in my database. So I need to have the entity and I need to have the repository for it. Okay, so let me create the entity and repository for it. So what I'll do, I'll just create the package over here for the repository and that data. So I'll just create as a data over here, and this particular data package will contain the entity, and I'll create the product entity, and I will copy the values from the command. So all these particular values I need, and I will add in the entity over here. Okay, and this particular class I need to annotate with data for the getter setters and @entity for creating this as an entity over here, and I need to annotate @id for my primary key. So this is my entity created. Now for this particular entity I need to create the repository. So let me just create the repository. I'll create the Java class and the interface, and I'll say this is product repository. Okay, and this particular product repository will extends JPA repository, and the type is product entity and the ID type is string. Now if you want to know more about how to create the product repositories and everything, I have a dedicated course for the Spring Data JPA that you can check that out. Now I need to inject this particular product repository into my events handler, so I can use this particular interface and I can save the data. So let me go to the product events handler over here, and let me create the property over here, private product repository. Let me inject using the constructor. Now I can use over here. So what I can do, I can just create the object of a product in the event handler equals to new product, and I'll just use bean utils dot copy properties from event to product, and I will use product repository dot save to save this particular product. That's it, entire flow is done now. Okay, so we just created this entire flow over here. We created the controller that will handle this /products for the post method over here, and from this particular controller we are sending the create product command to the command gateway, and whatever the data, whatever the command that we are sending to the command gateway, we are handling using the aggregate over here. Okay, make sure aggregate is your command handler, projection is your query handler. So we created this particular aggregate, and this particular aggregate is handling this particular command, and whatever the operations or whatever the business logic that you have, you can use this particular business logic there, and you can publish the event over here. And we are publishing the product created event, and that particular event is been stored in the event store. After that we created the events handler, that is the product events handler. That particular is listening this particular product created event. And whenever that particular event occurs, we are using the repository to store the data in our database. So here you can see that whatever the standard flow, standard structure it was, only 3 layers we are using. Now we converted entirely into the event driven architecture, and we are also using the CQRS architecture to store all the data over here. It's pretty neat and pretty easy, right? Now let's go ahead and let's test this out. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just go and let me just start this server over here, and let me just recheck once that my application is working on port 8081, and these are all the fields for my H2 database. So let me just start the server, and here you can see that my application started on port 8081. Let me go to the browser and let's go to the localhost 8081/H2 console over here. And here you can see that my JDBC URL is the same. Let me just reconfirm it. Okay, product db/data. Okay, and this is the same. Your username is SA and password is password, and let me connect. And here you can see that this is the product table that has been created over here, and this all the different tables are the part of Axon server. Okay, so let me just run this, and here you can see that there is no products available, and this is clear, right? Now let's go to the Axon server over here, and if you go to the overview, here you can see that this is the application that we have started, and this is the instance that has been connected to the Axon server itself. Now you might be wondering how it directly got connected to this particular Axon server, right? Because we just added the starter for the Axon framework, right? So there will be a default configuration added to the Spring Boot application. So using that default configuration and the default port information, it is connected to the default port for the Axon server. Now if you want to change any of the details, there is a documentation link I will add in the description below. You can check that out. It will help you to change how you can change the Axon servers, how you can deploy the Axon server, and how you can connect your Axon framework application to this particular Axon server as well. So these are all the different properties available that you can use to connect to your Axon server using your Spring Boot application. By default, with the auto configuration, it will work just fine. Now let's go to the Postman and let's head that particular URL that we have created. Okay, so let me just open the Postman over here. Let me do the http:/localhost. This should be 8081 products. This should be post request. I'll add the body, raw, JSON data. And if you go to this particular product rest command that is in the model, and let me add these properties over here. Let me store the products. Store mango, price is 100, quantity is 2 over here. Okay, so this is one product that I'm going to store over here. So let me hit on send, and we got the 500 internal server error. Now why we got this particular error, let's go ahead and see. And here you can see that the error is no handler for command, that is create product command over here. Okay, so let's check that. If you go to the aggregate, and this is the create product command handler, and we forgot to add the command handler annotation over here. So let's just restart the server, and here the server has started. Okay, and if you go to the Axon server, now we should be able to see the command as well, right? Now here you can see that the command has been detected over here, so we should not be getting that error now again. And let me just relog into the H2 console as well. Let's connect it, and there should be no products available. Okay, that's fine. Now let's go to the Postman and let's hit on send again. And here you can see that we got the 200 success, and we got back the ID available. Now let's see what happened over here. If you go to the console, everything is okay. Now if you go to the Axon server over here, and if you go to the search, here you can see that if you see the about the query language, here you can see that this way you can get the details over here. Okay, so with the aggregate identifier, let's copy this, let's paste this information, and let's copy this as well. and let's search. And here you can see that this is the particular event identifier, okay, event over here. So here you can see that this is event identifier, aggregate identifier, and the payload as well. So here you can see that this is the payload information, that your price is 100, quantity is 2, and the name is mango. This is in XML data, but we can always go ahead and change to the JSON as well in the configuration of this particular Axon server. So all these particular details you can see you will get from here, and if you enable the live updates over here, all these particular events will come over here directly. And if you go to the H2 console over here, and if you run this particular query again, you can see that we store the data in our database as well. You can see that the entire operation completed successfully. We were able to create a command. So this particular entire flow, this one is completed successfully. We have the controller, we created the command, we send that command to the command gateway. We created the aggregate that is handling that particular command, and we are creating the event from it and publishing that event to the event store. And we saw the events over here as well in the Axon server in the dashboard. Like this is the particular event that has been created with the particular payload that we have set that particular payload as well, right? So all the things is working fine. Now this is about the creating the command. The same way we can create the different commands for updating the data, deleting the data, and everything over here, okay? So you can go ahead and try all those particular events and particular commands as well. Now the other thing that is important in the CQRS is the Q part, that is the query API. So let's go ahead and implement that query API to fetch the data from the stored data over here. So let's go ahead and do that. Ideally, you might be creating the different services altogether for your command part and the query part, but in this particular example, for the simplicity, let's create in the same way, okay, in the same particular example. So instead of the command API, we have created this query API. So in this, we will be creating the different packages and different classes over here. So let me just stop the server over here, and the first thing that we will do, that is creating the controller. So let me just create the package over here that says controller, and let me create the class over here, that is the product query controller, and I will annotate with @REST controller, and I will add the request mapping as well, /products. Now public, I need the list of data, right, whatever we have stored over here. So I need the list of what product REST model, right? Now here you can see that I'm using this particular product REST model, that is the part of your command API, okay? So ideally you should not use that way. You can create a core library for both of these that you can use in both the particular example. So we have the command API and the query API. You can create the core API where you can store all the common classes or the common packages over there, and you can utilize all the common files or call the common classes from there itself. But for now it's fine. So whenever you are implementing, make sure that you do that way so your project structure is very clean. And I will name the method as get all products, and I will annotate with @get mapping over here, and this should return the list over here. So for now let me just do return null, so there is no compilation error for now. Now here what we need to do, in the command API we created the command gateway to send our command, but for this particular query API we need a query gateway. So let me just create the object of it, just say private query gateway from the Axon framework, and I will use the constructor injection over here as well. Now you should understand all this, it's very easy. So in the command you created the command, and in this particular query API you will be creating the queries to fetch the data. Two different things, command and query. Command, you will be telling the system to do some commands, to do some operations, and the query means you will be creating the queries to fetch any data that there is a state already in the application where you will be having some data that you want to fetch. So this is the two difference that you will be creating, and for the command you will be having the aggregate, and for the queries you will be having the projections. Both are same, command handler and the query handler, okay? You can name it either way. So here we'll be using the projections, okay? So your controller is created. Now you need to create the query instead of command. So let's do that. So what I'll do, I'll just create one package over here, command and create new package, and inside the query.api I will just say queries package over here. Okay, and inside this particular queries package I will create one query, that is get products query. Now you can use find products query also. I'm using get products query, so anything is fine. So yeah, you can see that I'm just using the products over here. Now if you are getting the users, you can go for get users queries, get departments queries, whatever you want to do, you can do that way. So let's just create a simple query over here, and let's go to the controller. Let me create the object of it, get products query. Okay, now I want to use the query gateway to query this particular query, that is get products query. So what I'll do, I will say query gateway dot. So here you can see that there are a lot of different methods available, that is query, subscription query, scatter gather queries. So I'll be just using the simple query over here, where I will define the query, like which query particular it is. It's a get products query, so I'll define that query, and I will define what is my response type, in which particular format I want the data back. So I will define that. So this is my get product query, and I want to define the response type back. So I'll just say response types dot multiple instance of, as I want a list over here, I will define it's a multiple instance of. And what multiple instance of? So it's a product REST model, right? So I'll just define product REST model dot class over here. So it's simple thing. I am just passing this particular query to the query gateway, and I am defining what is my return type as well. I am defining my return type is the multiple instance of product REST model, that is I might have multiple instance. And I can define here as well list of product REST models equals to this. And as this is a completable feature, I will use the join method to wait until I get the data over here. I will return this. My query is created. Now I need to handle this query, right? So let's go ahead and create the projection to handle this query. So in the query API, let me just create the package over here that says projection, and I will create the class that will say product projection over here, and I will annotate this with @component. Now from here also, from this particular projection, you can handle this particular query, and you can create the event, and that event will send you the data. That also you can create, or from this particular projection you can directly pass the data back as well. So from here I will directly pass the data back. To get the data from the database, I need the product repository. So let me just create the object of it, that is the private product repository, and I will use the constructor injection. Now I need to handle the query over here. So what I'll do, I'll create the method public instead of void. What I'm doing, I need to pass the list of product REST model over here, right? I need to handle the query. So what is the query? Get product query, and I need to annotate this with @query handler. For the command you will be using the command handler, for the query you will be using the query handler. Now what I want over here is I want the list of data, right? So it's simple, I just say list of products equals to product repository dot find all. Okay, so this particular will return the list of products available, but what I want a list of product REST model. Okay, so I want to change it. So what I will do is list of product REST model equals to products dot stream dot map products to product REST model dot builder dot build product dot get quantity price product dot get price dot name, product dot get name, quantity, price and name. That's it, right? Dot build dot collect, collectors dot to list. Simple thing. What I'm doing, I have the list of products and I'm converting to the list of product rest model over here, and return product rest models. Simple thing. Okay, there is nothing fancy thing that we have done over here, and it's the same flow that we have created over here. We created the controller that will handle the API request, that will be /products for the get method, and we created the query instead of a command, that is the get products query, and that particular query has been handled by the projection over here. Now let's run the application and let's see. And here you can see that my application started. Let's go to the Postman, and instead of the post request, let me just create the new get request over here. And here you can see that we got the data, that is one mango. If I add the oranges, price suppose 500 for the 50 quantity, okay, 10 per each. It is saved over here, and if I hit send again, I should be getting 2 records over here. Okay, so my get request is also working perfectly fine. So this way you can create the queries and commands differently for your command API and query API using the CQRS. Now one more thing, when we are working with the event driven architecture, handling the transactions and handling the exception is very important, right? Now currently what will happen is, I will give you an example. Let me just stop the server over here, and let me go to the command API and go to the events handler, where we are handling this particular product created event. And at this particular point I am saving the data. So at this particular point my transaction should be committed, right? Because there is no error. But after that, if there is any error, suppose I'm just throwing the error, throw new exception over here. Okay, exception occurred. So after this particular saving the data over here, I'm throwing the exception. Okay, now what will happen to our application? Let's see that. So let me just start the server. Okay, my application server is started. Now let's go to the console, password, and if I run the query, you can see that I have 2 records over here. Okay, now let me go to the Postman over here, go to the post method, and here you can see that I am storing the banana over here, okay, for 550 rupees. And if you see the code also, I have thrown the exception as well. Let me clear the console. Let's go to the Postman. Let's hit send over here, and here you can see that though we have added the exception, this is successful. And if you go to this particular console over here, you can see that there is an exception as well that says exception occurred at this particular point. Okay, and if you go to this particular console as well, and if you run this, you can see that data has been stored as well, which is not I want, right? Because there is an exception, that particular transaction should be reverted back, right? So how to do that? Ideally, other than the events handler, wherever the particular exception is there, it will handle perfectly fine. But whenever there is an exception in the events, you need to propagate that particular exceptions to all the places from where that particular command has been created. That is the controller layer as well, right? So let's go ahead and handle that as well. So whenever there is an exception occurred, when you are handling that particular event also, it should roll back that particular transaction. So let's go to the IntelliJ IDEA. Let's close the server and do that. So in this particular point, what we have to do is we have to implement the listener invocation error handler. So whenever there is an error in our event handler, we need to propagate that particular error. So let me just create one of the package over here, command, and I'll create the package. I'll say exception. Inside this particular exception, let me create one class. I'll say product service events error handler. Okay, this particular class implements listener invocation error handler over here. Let me implement the method as well. So this is the on error method, and from here I'll just do throw exception. So here you can see that this is handling our event messages. So whenever there is an exception in our events, we are just rethrowing that particular exception. Now we need to register this particular handler in our application. So let's go to the main class over here, that is the product service application. And so here we need to handle this or register that particular handler. So I'll just say public void configure, and we will inject event processing configurer, and I will auto wire it. And for this particular configurer, dot register listener invocation error handler. Okay, and here you can see that it is taking the string and the function. So I will provide the string as product and new product service error handler. So this is the one that we have registered over here. Now we need to use this particular in our events handler. So let's go to the products events handler and I'll define processing group over here. Now at this particular point we can handle the different exceptions that has been occurred over here. So what I'll do, I'll just say public void handle exception, and I will annotate this with exception handler of the Axon framework, not the Spring framework. Okay, and from here I'll just throw this particular exception back. Now here you can do the loggers as well. Okay, you can implement the loggers and everything over here. For now I'm just doing this simply. Now let's run this and test it out. As you can see that my server is started. Okay, now let's go to the console over here. Let me just refresh it. And here you can see that I have only 3 records available. Okay, mango, orange and banana. Now if I go to the Postman over here, let me try to save Apple. I don't have Apple, right? So let me try to save Apple over here, and let me just clear the console from here as well. Okay, and let me hit send over here, and here you can see that that particular Apple is also not stored over here because we just handled the event. So currently we have not done anything to throw back the exception to the particular REST API. Okay, so this is just we are handling that particular exception. So whenever there is an exception, that particular transaction is been rolled back over here for now, but we can handle this particular exception to get that particular exception message to the user as well. So this is all you need to know to get started working on the event driven microservices and the CQRS design pattern. There are a lot more things that you can learn because there's a lot of things in the microservices world that you can always improve upon, and you can always get new ideas and improve according to the business requirements. But this is a standard structure that you can follow and start working on the CQRS design pattern. Now in the future I'll be working on the Saga design pattern as well. I'll create a video on the Saga design pattern and I will share that with you guys in the next video. Now if you have any questions related to any of the topics that we have covered over here, then let me know in the discussion below. I will try to help you out as soon as possible. Now if you like this video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for the upcoming videos. I will see you in the next video. Till then, happy coding. Bye bye.